Morning. Back at my desk and it feels good. Hello. Make sure you come on and say hello. Wow, went from 1 to 11. Hey Julie. All right, I'm gonna get started. This morning I want to talk with you about, if you've been struggling in your business for a little while, it might be a couple of years or something like that, and you're asking yourself the question, is this all worth it? Should I keep continuing? Is this ever going to work for me? All of that sort of stuff. And then you're kind of thinking, is it time to ditch it and do something else? Now, I'm the sort of person that wants you to persevere all the time and give it everything that you can. Hey, Belinda. Hey, Stacey. And I don't talk about quitting lightly, but sometimes there are things that just don't work. And I met with a gorgeous client of mine last week, and I've watched this lady working so hard for the last couple of years, but she's really struggled to make any money in her business. And luckily I was able to sit down face to face with this girl because she's not that far away from me. And as we got talking, I was asking her about her current brand and just said, tell me about your brand and tell me about, sort of how you feel about that brand and why you think it's not working. And the thing she said to me, and the reason that I knew straight away that it was time to move her on to something else, was she said, it just never felt right in the beginning. All good, Stacey. It'll be there waiting for you. Thank you. So when she said those magic words to me, it never actually felt right. There was just something that wasn't right about it. That was very easy for me to then be able to say to her, we just need to change, we need to do things differently. So it's a matter of now really just changing direction, rebranding, getting clear about who you want to work with now. So one of the things that came up in that conversation was that just through the way that she'd positioned herself, she was ending up with a lot of clients that were really high maintenance, really not the sort of people that she anticipated that she'd be working with. But when I explained to her and I showed her how she positioned herself and the look and feel of the brand, I said it was kind of always going to happen. These were the people you're going to attract. And looking at this new brand now, can you see the difference? And she was so excited about it. And so she was saying, well, what do I do with my Facebook group? And what do I do with this? And I said, it's time to let it go. So just head into that Facebook group and let people know it's been nice, it's been great, but I'm moving on, in a really nice way. Because I said, you don't want to spend another minute, another second pouring time and energy into something that is not going to go anywhere. And one of the reasons it's not going to go anywhere is because you don't really want to work with the people you're attracting. So it was never going to work. So it's not the same as me having someone come to me and saying, I really love this brand. I love the people that I work with. I just don't seem to have enough clients. That's a whole other ball game. And that's easily fixed in my opinion. There's a lot of stuff that I can do there to get a brand moving really quickly. Sometimes it requires a few different tweaks and things like that. Sometimes it's an offering that needs to change. There's a shift in positioning. But that is easy for me to be able to see, we're not throwing the baby out with the bathwater here. There's so much within this brand that we've got to work with, and there's just a few little tweaks that we need to make. And, that's what I do day in, day out, and that makes a huge difference. But I'm talking about, a brand that's fundamentally flawed from the beginning because there's not been a lot of the foundations laid correctly before they've started, and they've gone off and thought it was a great idea. And I had another coaching session this morning with a client of mine, and this was our second session. And in the first session I laid down, I don't want you rushing ahead. I don't want you rushing ahead to do any one-on-one clients that I have. I always put them through my Kickass Academy online because all the fundamentals are there, all the foundation is there. So I send them off to go and do the first module, and then we come back and we talk about it. And this person had done one lesson out of the whole module and they'd rushed through it, and I looked at that and went, I haven't done the work. And they were thinking already about the things that they could offer and the products that they could offer and the programs and who their different market would be. And I said, you're here, you're trying to be here, and I want you to do this little bit of work in the middle. And it might feel like Chinese water torture for me to get you to do this stuff. And I even had this other client say, oh, when you made me do that stuff, I was so frustrated. But what she discovered is that when she did those first exercises, that she said that's what it was in the beginning. It's just that I moved away from that. And it usually always is. Usually we come up with the idea, we think it's a great idea, we love that market, and then something happens and we go off at a tangent somehow, which is crazy. So, and this other person, they wanted to rush through this foundational work. But what I was saying to the client was that when you do that, this is when it goes pear-shaped. So this lady that I was speaking with, it went pear-shaped and it was never quite right, and she could never get it to fly because she didn't do this stuff in the beginning. And it wasn't her fault, she just didn't know to do it. And so we build the foundation, we make sure it's really, really strong. We make sure that the business is founded on the things that you're passionate about, the things that you love to do, the things that you're great at, and working with a market that excites you. That's important. And the way that we usually find the market that excites us the most is it's because they're the people we're having the most impact over. When we have a lot of impact over people and we see them getting results, that's when we get excited as coaches and entrepreneurs. That's what floats our boat. We want that. So it's time to pull the pin if you're dragging along this brand and this business that's never really felt right from the beginning, and you're not making any traction, and you're 2 years down the track, you're giving everything to your community, you're giving a lot of free content, you're doing all of that sort of stuff, but it's this push-pull thing going on. And the push-pull thing going on with my client the other day was that, the push was she wanted to grow her business and get it going. Hey Jen, good morning. And the pull is she didn't really want to work with the people that she was attracting. So can you see it was never ever going to work? And if she continued to move forward with the brand in the way that it was and position herself the way that she was positioning herself, it was never going to rectify itself. So we basically had to go rip it up. There goes that brand. We're not doing anything more. We're closing down the Facebook group. We're closing down this. We're creating a completely new brand. The language is going to be completely different. And this lady said, oh, this actually feels like me. This is how I wanted to feel about the other one. So if that's you and you're not quite right and you're dragging along this business that doesn't feel right, you'll know when the time is to pull the pin based on that. So it's not based on, I love this, I love the people that I'm working with, I love everything about it. It's just I don't have enough clients. That's stuff that I can help you with like that. And it's simple to do. It's the visibility stuff. It's making sure we go back and have a look at all the foundations and making sure they're correct. And then, if it's not that, if you're not excited about it, you're not loving it, and there's a whole lot of stuff in the way, and you have this push-pull thing going on, then it's time to just start again and rebrand. And I know that's scary for some people because you've invested time, you've invested money, you've invested heart and soul. And when we launch a new brand, we feel like it's part of our, it's a new baby. But there are times when you have to let that shit go because it's not serving you anymore. And sometimes it's a matter of rebranding. If you want to call it a pain in the ass, it can be, but really I consider it an opportunity to really step into something different and do something that you really, really, really want to do. And in the instance of this client that I met with earlier in the week, she's got a whole 2 years now of working out what she doesn't want to do and who she doesn't want to work with and what didn't work. So that's great. I'll be able to get her moving very, very quickly now. Jennifer's saying, so feeling this right now. Yeah, Jen, so really, have a think about that. So one of the things that I can get you to do, just a quick win really, is to list all of the things that you imagine that this business was going to be for you. Who did you imagine you were going to be working with? What sort of money did you imagine you were going to be making? What sort of work did you imagine you were going to be doing? How did you see yourself in that role? What excitement did you feel like you were going to feel every day when you showed up to work? And then sort of go through that list, and out of 10, like, where is this business? And, if it's time to let it go, then it's time to let it go and just do something different. And sometimes the letting go is difficult, but the minute you do, you'll feel a weight lifted off your shoulders, and then you don't want to make the same mistakes again. Stake in the ground. You don't want to make the same mistakes. So it's doing that foundational stuff and really knowing your strengths. The client that I was just speaking to was mentioning, oh, it feels like I'm bragging. And I'm like, it's not that. If you don't know what your strengths are, if you're not really sure what they are and you don't own them and you can't tell people what makes you different to anybody else and why you're better than anybody else for that person because of these things, then you're going to have a really hard time selling anything that you do. You need to really know what you're good at, and you need to own that, and you need to feel that, and that will fuel your energy. And that is why, for me, selling is very easy. I know I'm good at what I do. I love what I do, and I love seeing the results for my clients. I love the connections that I have with my clients, all that sort of stuff. So it's very easy for me to sell. Back in the day when I didn't know what was unique about me, or that I, what I had to give and the outcomes that I was able to deliver, it wasn't easy for me to sell it out at all. And, even when I was in my previous brand, the Honourable Martial Arts Entrepreneur, that felt great in the beginning. It felt like it really fit me, but I evolved and I changed, and then that brand didn't fit me anymore. And so, it was a bit of an albatross around my neck for a little while until I worked out, okay, it's just that I don't want to do this anymore. It's just that this doesn't fit anymore. And then I developed the art of kicking ass elegantly, and the rest is history. It's been crazy. So it might feel like a risk to let go and change direction, but sometimes it is the exact thing that you need to do. Now, if you feel like that is you and you want some support doing that, there are a number of ways to work with me. Shoot me a private message, or go to The Art of Kicking Ass Elegantly Facebook page and message me through there, and we can set up a time to have a chat. Life is too short to be working in a business that isn't making money. Life is too short to be working in a business that you don't love. Life is too short to be second guessing and questioning every day that you show up to work. Am I on the right track? Sometimes there's just one coaching session sometimes is all it takes to get that stuff clear. Having the clarity and the next steps forward is sometimes all it takes. And having that second opinion where somebody's able to say to you, this isn't really working and I can see why. In the case of my client that I met with earlier in the week, it was a relief for her, to actually hear that. So it wasn't her just being crazy in her head and thinking, I'm underestimating myself, or I'm not doing enough, or I should be doing this. She was doing plenty. It's just she was doing it towards the wrong market with the wrong brand. And I've got no doubt within the next month, we're already doing logo concepts and stuff. I met with her Wednesday, I think it was, and we've already got the concepts and the URL registered and stuff like that. So it happens fast. When it hits and it's right, we've got to move fast, because that first idea, that first gut, get some validation around that from someone you trust, and then move forward with it fast, because the universe loves speed. Anyway, that's it for today. Have an amazing day. It's Friday here in Australia. I'm going to have some new eyelash extensions put in. I had it done years ago and it took a very long time. So I'm hoping it doesn't take as long today. And I've got some other really cool stuff to do. It's my mum's birthday. I'm going to give her a call. And pretty light on day. And to be honest, since I got back from Thailand, I have hit the ground running. I've had so much on. Yesterday was Australia Day here, and Dave went away fishing, and my daughter came to visit me in the afternoon, but honestly, I didn't get out of my pajamas till like 1:30, which is not like me. It's just like, I need a day on the couch. So I did that, and I feel much better today. But looking forward to the weekend and showing up Monday with all guns blazing. Anyway, have an amazing weekend, and I'll see you next week. Bye.